right, well, I'm going to kick us off tonight. Welcome you guys. My name is Carrie Douglas. I'm Instructional Officer for Personalized Learning. I'm really excited about tonight because we're partnering with Digital Learning to introduce some new tech and some new ideas for you guys. If you are familiar with Personalized Learning, if you're one of our campuses, or if you've been to some of our trainings, we have been working through something called our student ownership progression and talking about how to build and implement the 3 components of personalized learning. So I wanted to just really quickly share my screen and show you guys that document. If you're familiar, it has our 3 components: learner profiles, proficiency-based progress, and personalized learning paths. So far, first semester, we've gone through learner profiles and proficiency-based progress and talked about how to set up those in your classroom successfully so that now we can move on to the personalized learning paths. The profiles are really important because they set up not only student data, but who they are as learners so that we can start having those conversations so students can understand how to combine how they learn best with the data and the things that they're doing in class. Then we want to set up student goal setting so that they know what they're working on. And now with personalized learning paths, they will be able to know how to achieve those goals. And so that's kind of where we're going to be focused tonight on our learning. So I'll stop sharing that. I'll let our lovely digital learning ladies introduce themselves as well. And then we're going to kind of separate into 2 different sections. Tonight's session is about building those personalized learning paths in Snowflake when you're Clear Touch, and in Seesaw for some of the younger kiddos. So I'll let you guys say hello.
All right. Well, I'll go first. My name is Karen Goebel, and I'm a program coordinator of digital learning. And I'm going to be leading, and with Carrie, we're going to be leading the session on pathways using Seesaw, and then I'll let the others go.
Okay, and I'm Kaylee Weimer. Again, I'm a program coordinator for digital learning.
And I'm Emily Nordhausen. I'm also a program coordinator for digital learning.
Great. And the 2 of us are going to be doing the session on the Clear Touch pathways.
All right, so this is the personalized pathways in Snowflake. And so this is referring to the program that is on your Clear Touch panel. So this is something, so you log onto the panel and then you go into the Snowflake program. And then we're going to show you how that you can make personalized pathways using those lessons that are that either you can create or that are already pre-created in Snowflake. And so the first thing that I'm going to show you is I'm just going to go over a brief overview of how you would get to these lessons. So my recommendation is for you to build these lessons on your computer. So you have access to the Snowflake software using snowflake.live, which is located on the dashboard. I'm going to walk you through that. And if you are logged in, so if you go through the dashboard, it automatically logs you in. If you're logged in there, and then once you're on your panel, if you log in to your if you log into the Snowflake, so I know you log into the computer, and a lot of teachers say, okay, but I am logged in. But once you're in your lesson activities, so you actually click lesson activities, you need to log in there as well. And you only need to do this once, and everything that you have created or played in the online version will actually then open on your computer. So I had a teacher who was building or searching for lessons on her panel, and she said it was taking up time in the classroom. And I said, oh, well, just look for them ahead of time on your computer. And then if you're logged in on the panel, they'll just appear in your lesson activities there. So I'm going to go ahead, and I have a second tab. And so you should be seeing my dashboard for Klein. And I am going to go ahead, and I actually have it right here. And the reason there's a little star here is my favorite tip is I've right clicked on it, and if I can do it. Oh my gosh, again, okay. I need patience. Okay, there we go. Oh, there it is. Okay. Notice it says remove favorite. So I've added it to my favorite. So it's actually down here. So I could click it down here or at that top area. And I like doing this for students as well with the apps that they use a lot, even on their iPads or on their Chromebooks, because it makes it go a lot faster finding those regularly used applications. Okay, so go ahead if you can put in the chat if you've been to Snow.live. I don't know if anyone has been here. I love that I have all my lesson activities that I can preview here. So it does start. I've had a few teachers tell me when they log in for the first time, they'll search and they'll say, I can't find any lessons. Like this doesn't, you said there's so much, there's nothing, but it's because they're in my lesson activities. You actually have to come over to community to search for lessons. And I could search by standard. And so I'll show you that really quickly because a lot of teachers want to search by TEAC. And so I can come down to find Texas and I can go, I'm going to go to social studies. And Kaylee, can you name a TEAC? Do you want me to search for, is there a particular TEAC you can think of?
Yeah, you can search for Manifest Destiny.
Okay. Would that be in
8th grade?
8th grade.
And 5th
Okay.
grade. I think 5th grade just finished with Manifest Destiny, and 8th grade is starting on it.
Okay, and so then I actually have, so I could search, I have all the standards here that I can search for, or I can go through and I can search for those specific standards. Or what I could do is I could just come over to search and I could type Manifest Destiny.
So I actually like searching this way instead of by the standard because not everybody tags their lessons by our Texas standards because people all over the world and all over the United States use ClearTouch. And so they don't have the same standards as we do.
And so I wanted to show you, look at all the things coming up and oh, look at this name. This is very familiar right here. Kaylee has added all these lessons that she's actually created in here for Manifest Destiny. But you notice, okay, so there's an activity here created by this teacher. So this map activity. And so like Kaylee was saying, these are just created by anyone in the world that is using the Snowflake software. And so it is important to know, like you can see Kaylee has tagged the TEAC in here, but this person has not. So this might not show up if you go by standard. So you can search by standard, that is an ability, but our recommendation is to actually use the keywords that are kind of found in the TEAC. To search. And so if I want this to show up on my panel, I'm not going to log into my panel and search there. All I need to do is press play. And this is a great way to, you're going to want to preview all the content anyway ahead of time because it might not just be something that's inappropriate that you might find, but I remember one time we were doing this and it was an ELA activity and they had accidentally written protagonist twice and they had, one of the answers was supposed to be antagonist. And so then we were able to go in and edit the lesson before the students completed the activity. So now that I'm pressing play, it takes I have kind of slow internet here at my house. And so it takes kind of a second to load. But once you once it has played here, so you've opened it up, then it's going to show up in my lesson activities on your panel. And so I'm just going to give it another second to load. I wonder if I refresh, if it might help. It's going kind of slow ahead. All right, well, I'll go back. Let me try one more time and just see. Oh, look, so it actually, because I think it kind of had loaded, it said you already have this lesson activity. And so I'm going to play it from my account and see if that loads a little bit faster. Watch it be just as slow. That my account is not behaving right now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead. Now, if it had loaded, I will show you that here I can edit. So you always want to preview all the lessons that your students are doing. But if I do see a mistake or something I want to change, I can press edit here, or I can go back to my lesson activity. So notice it's taking me back actually just to my lesson activities, and it's showing up right here. Oh my gosh, I'm going to try it one more time. Like maybe opening it from here will magically work. Because this is actually one of my favorite activities. So I want to just show you the tags, but it's not working. And so it's just my internet. Oh, wait, There
Oh,
it
there it
was.
is. It just loaded.
Okay. And so for example, me as a teacher, I might say, okay, Kaylee, do you know where 1 goes? Or
Yes, I know where a lot of them go, but Emily, you should be able to do number 8.
I can do
It's
8.
Virginia.
I know Virginia. And notice, oh, it shows me that it's correct, but let's say it was wrong. So that was not the correct answer. I noticed it turned red. I can always press edit, and then I can go and I can fix any of the mistakes. That if a teacher had accidentally made a mistake. So I think it is important to show that you can go in and change this pre-made content, but definitely search for this pre-made content ahead of time. Okay. I'm going to go back to the community. All right. And I wanted to let you know that I'm going to go, actually not back to the community. I'm going to go over to our slide deck. And I just wanted to remind, yes,
before you do zones, can you go back to the community?
Sure.
Because I want to just reiterate something that our Clear Touch trainers have told us.
Yeah.
When you search and you search by topic or by keywords, they tell us to search first and filter second. So always put in your search terms, let that populate results, and then go ahead and start filtering.
Because that's a really good point. Not everyone has added these tags. And sometimes, depending on the state, the age group, maybe, especially if it's 5 or 6. I mean, I know my son will be in kindergarten, he'll go in at age 5 and he'll turn 6 in kindergarten. And so his standards, the standard that he may be working on, the teacher might have tagged it as 6 or 7, or maybe 3 through 5. And so it definitely is worth it to filter afterwards. And something I have noticed, if you're looking for a lesson in Spanish, type the words that you're looking for in Spanish or in the language you're looking for. You don't want to type, for example, manifest destiny and then write in Spanish. You want to look for the specific title, but in the language that you want the lesson to be. Okay. Now, if you are using this as a station, one of the things that the Clear Touch trainers have shown us and that we have seen in classrooms is the use of zones. And so I'm going to show you really quickly, all right, that when I log in, so this is what it would look like. We were talking about the lesson activities, but so you can imagine if my screen is the panel, I want multiple zones, meaning I can have the same activity in 2 different places, or 2 different activities, or up to 4 activities in different places on the panel. And so you're going to be clicking zones. And so you see it highlighted here. There's actually a couple ways to do this, but I can press zones here. And when the zones pull up, I can either pick, they now actually have, on the updated panels, 3 columns. And so you might be seeing that on your panel, but I like the 2 or the 4. Those are kind of my favorite, but the 3 is also great. And so you can, if you select that, let's see, it's going to pop up. Let's see if it's going to pop up. Okay, here's an example. All right, and so right here, notice that we have 3 different zones that have been populated onto the screen. So I could have 3 different lesson activities, or I could have 2 separate lesson activities that I've created. And then I could have some instructions at the top, especially if I open a whiteboard. I could have a video that the students watch. I could open that chorus. Notice they can be adjusted as well. And the way you would adjust it is, okay, it's right here. It's that corner Q menu. And this is when you can adjust the zones. But if you look real small, you can actually decide the zones as well. You can open your zones from the corner Q menu. Okay. Kaylee, oh, here's an example right here of 2 different lesson activities, exactly what we were talking about, where we have some instructions, we have a video students could watch, and 2 different lesson activities that students could complete. You could have 2 different groups of students, or it could be first they watch the video, then afterwards they complete this activity, then they move on and complete the second activity. And this is actually a station that I might have 2 students working together on the board. Do you have anything to add with this, Kaylee?
No, just that next part where you can actually save that layout.
Yeah, I love, so if you're doing this same activity as a station for a week, I might save the layout because I might have different groups coming in throughout the day, especially if you are a so if you're a teacher that sees like at an intermediate level and you see, 7, 8 groups of students and you want to do the same station throughout the day, I might save this just so that it's easier to pull up. Okay. All right, I am going to now stop sharing because Kaylee is about to tell us how we can individually assign these lesson activities to students.
Okay, and I'm going to share. Okay, so Emily, you're seeing my snowflake, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to show you is how you can individually assign a snowflake activity to your students. So this is where we're getting into that personalized pathway piece. So I can decide, oh, this is a standard that my students need to work on. I'm going to assign them this lesson activity in Snowflake. And what they can do is students also have the snowflake on their dashboard. So all they have to do is click on Snowflake and then click on your class. And then that lesson will be available to them. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you do that. So like Emily was telling you, you're first going to find your lessons and play those lessons so that they're in the My Lessons activity tab here. Okay, and that's right where this takes you. When you first log in to snowflake.live, it takes you to the My Lessons activities tab. Okay. And so let's say this one's not ready. I'm not done with it, but let's just say this one, the causes and effects of the War of 1812. So this is something I want to send to my students for practice. And so I'm going to click right here on these 3 dots. And then I'm going to say send to students. Now, my view is going to look a little bit different than yours because what we have done is we have synced this through Skyward. So only teachers who have rosters in Skyward will have classes here. And so I've got like this practice class that we started before we synced. And so all of your classes will be listed here. Let's see if I can find right here. Here, I already had it pulled up in our video. Is you can see the teacher's classes listed right here. She just selects one of those classes. Oops. Here. And so I'm going to select that class and you'll have all of your students listed here. And what's great about this is I can leave it as all selected, or I can say uncheck all, and I'm going to check just certain students who need to practice this skill. So I'm just going to select my student. I can choose the send date, so it will send it to the students. It will make it available on that date. And then it can also give it a due date as well. And I like to leave this box checked to notify them via email so that they can see it in their email as well. But here up here, it says gradable assessment. So if this is something that you want to take a grade on, all you have to do is check this box. And then you can set your percentage cutoffs for this assessment. So just pay close attention to what the colors mean. Red does not meet the expectation. Yellow is meets, and then green is exceeds. And then you also can move this and decide what are those parameters? What is meets for you and what is exceeds for you? Okay, and so you can adjust that however you need to. And then all you would do is click send the assignment, and it says it's sending. So what's important to note is you don't want to make sure you keep clicking send because it could send it multiple times. So just click it once and just wait. And then there you go. It was sent to the students. Now, in this video that I have linked in, I show you what it looks like on the student end. Let's see here. So yeah, when students log in, so this is a student dashboard. They're going to go in and search for Snowflake. And then when they go into Snowflake, this is what it looks like. So you can see all of their classes are listed here. And so for an elementary student, it's a lot because they have the art conduct, the music conduct, in addition to just regular and art. So they may have to scroll a little bit, find that class, and you'll see that right here it says new. So that means that they have a new lesson activity that's been assigned to them. So they can click on that one. And then once they click on there, it'll say to open your assignment. And then it'll have all of the open assignments listed in this area, and they'll click on the one that they're going to complete. And then it looks just like it would on the panel, just like this. And you'll notice that now they have a submit button. So they can click that submit button, and it actually lets you know when things have been submitted, and you'll be able to see from your side what they've submitted and how they did. Okay, now this piece does not sync to Skyward. Okay, just so you know, I like to use this for practice, individual practice, and rather than grade. Okay. So this is great to use for students who need that kind of reteach moment, or just kind of like that personalized help or personalized tutorial. Okay. The next thing I wanted to show you, which is in our slide deck. So I just showed you the I just showed you the individually assign. So the next piece I'm going to show you is this creating a playlist. So we can actually have more than one Snowflake lesson activity grouped together in what they call a playlist. And what's great about that is you can send a whole playlist to students, or you can pull it up on your panel in zones like Emily was showing, and you can choose to have that playlist play in order, or they can play at random. Okay, and so I'm going to show you how you can do that. And so again, inside of Snowflake, okay, I am going to group some together. So let me just take a look at what I've got here. Okay, I'm going to group these two Manifest Destiny ones into a playlist. So they're both 8th grade 8.6B. And so I'm going to start with this one, the tags. And so I'm going to click on the more options here. And it says add to list. So I'm going to click add to list. And if you've never created a list before, it'll say create a new list. So I'm going to create a new list because I don't want it to go in either one of these. And I'm going to give that list a name. Actually, I'm going to call it. And then click create list. And now I'm going to select my newly created list here. And now I'm going to say add to list because I need this to be added to that list. Okay, so now it's been added. I can click on the X. And now I want to add this one to that same list. I'm going to click on the 3 dots again, add to list. This time I don't have to create a new list because it's already here. I'm going to click the checkbox and add to list. Okay, so now that I've created this list, and you can add more than 2, I'm just doing 2 to show you. So now that I've created this playlist, and this is something that I now want to maybe share with my co-teachers or share with teachers on my team, maybe I'm going to share it with my students for them to complete. The way you find it is you're going to go back up to where it says My Lesson Activities. And when you hover over this tab, you'll see a drop-down list. And we want list right here. Okay, now you can create a new list here, but now you can see my 3 lists. So I have my 8th grade, my 5th grade, and my Clear Touch. And so here's this list that I just created. So I can add more if I want. Okay, I can rename it, I can edit it, I can play it. So if I were to go to my panel and log into Snowflake, go to the lesson activities, make sure I'm logged into lesson activities, and through my lesson activities, make sure I'm in my lessons, and go to list, I can click play. And it will play this in order. So students will play the tags one first, and then they'll play, this is called arrange, but it's like a timeline. Or I can play it randomized. So if I had several different lesson activities that went along with this unit or this topic, it would play them in random order for each student. Okay. And that's playing it at the board. So that's the play and play randomized is playing at the board. I can also click more, and this is where I can send it to students. And so it's just the same process that I just showed you a minute ago of sending one lesson to students. It's the same process. What I also like is I can save it to the Snowflake community. And if I save it to the Snowflake community, I'm given a link, and then that's the link that I can share with other teachers on my team. So if they wanted to use the same playlist, they could. Okay. So that is really quick how you create lists, a playlist. In the chat, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here real quick.
And Kaylee, I have a question for you. So there's 18, I believe there's 18 different types of, I guess you could say question types within Snowflake, at the Snowflake
lesson
software.
Activities.
Lesson activities. Yes. And so that is, if you've never been in Snowflake before, your students have never seen Snowflake, that's a lot of different types of activities. What would you recommend so that if we're going to be sending stuff to students that they know how to do the activities? You as a teacher, what would you do to make sure that when they open this up, they would know what to do? What would you do in your classroom?
That's a great question. So I might do that zones like you showed where I had instructions at the top and then the two zones with two different lesson activities in there, or I might just do the same lesson activity and have two groups of students come up and do the same lesson activity. But what I also really like is when you go to create one, and I want to make this really clear. You don't have to create a lesson. You can find one that's already created and tweak it, just like Emily was saying at the beginning. So if I go to create a lesson activity, here's the different activities that you can do, that you can create. And so in our guide to ClearTouch, we actually have all of these listed out. And if you click on them, it gives you instructions of how to create those. If you're feeling brave, if that's what you want to do and you want to create your own, go for it. But by no means do you have to create your own. But I'm just going to click on one so that you can see. So when I go into create my content, I would click here, but right up here, it says lesson activity info. And this is where you can type a description. I usually type instructions right here as well of like what I want students to do. So I want you to click and drag the name of the inventor to, or maybe since this is an arrange, I think is what I chose. Yes, it's an arrange because it tells you right here. So this is like the timeline. So maybe I might say, click and drag the tiles to the correct spot on the timeline. But what I like here is I can change this to show a description before the lesson activity. So students can see what they're supposed to do before they play the lesson. What I also like is that I can put in a YouTube video before they play the lesson as well. So if maybe it's a video of me reteaching something, maybe it's a short clip of my reteach, I could put that here and have students watch it before they play the lesson activity. So I really like those things. And you can do that with the pre-made lessons as well. Things that you find there, when you go into edit, you just go into the lesson activity info. It looks just the same. except
I
if their
love that. I
students
love
don't
the
know how to
idea of
manage content.
adding that description, but also playing the lesson even as a whole class, just pulling it up and showing students how this type of activity works, and then getting a volunteer to come up and do it, and kind of going slow that, if you haven't done lesson activities, or if you haven't been into the Snowflake software, you can work together with your class to learn together. If you go find a lesson that you like, but I think students will enjoy learning with you, and especially if you pick a strong student that you want to help, say, hey, I need you to help me figure this out, but really giving that leadership opportunity to the kids to come up and say, okay, let's figure out how this activity works. And I think there'll be more buy-in to the activity when they feel like they're owning teaching the class how to learn how to do it. So I think that could be a really good idea. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share again. I'm going to take over. And okay, so share my entire screen. And I'm going to come down to the last two resources we have for you guys. Is we have the Clear Touch experience, which if you attended any summer training or any fall training, or I guess now we're in like winter or spring training maybe, that with Brandy or with Sam this past summer, and maybe even some of our trainings, we kind of shared this as well, the Clear Touch experience. And so when I'm in my dashboard, I can just search for Clear Touch experience. And I don't know, maybe do I have it bookmarked? I do have it bookmarked, but I don't know where it is. So I'll click it down here, but I can just show you. I'll search for it, Clear Touch experience. It's right here. And it is going to have you sign up for it. But, we don't normally use resources from companies just because a lot of times things are very personalized to Klein, but the videos and guides created by Clear Touch are so helpful and pretty accurate to the programs we have. And so, for example, if I go down to Snowflake, so the Snowflake software tab on the side. So I'm under the Clear Touch Academy on the left-hand side, and I selected Snowflake. I can actually go down. It says it's just starting with what is Snowflake, how to launch it on your computer. And we had talked about the zone. So this is actually where we got, we watched one of their videos here, the lesson activities. And I thought they had videos on each type. I'm wondering, oh, those are probably on snowflake.live. So I could go there, snowflake.live. And they have all the different lesson activities. And so Kaylee was doing a range. So I can pick a range, and they not only have the videos here, but if you need closed captioning, you can head over to YouTube. And not on this one, but on a lot of them, they do have guides, PDF guides that you can look at as well. And I know it is insane how we have gone through this, and even still our team, that we do this every single day. We are looking at this and we are learning new things all the time. And so there is just so much to learn with our panels and with Snowflake. And so it's definitely worth exploring in here to learn more about the software, but especially just these lesson activities to pick an activity that you want to try. And then the other resource we have for you guys is our digital learning website. And so if you haven't been to kasd.us/digilearn, I highly recommend going there because we have a lot of professional development opportunities there. And we have our guide on the Clear Touch panels here.
And I linked the guide into the chat.
So if I click the Clear Touch panels, we see here this Clear Touch and Snowflake software guide. And so it's one of our magazines. We do create a monthly magazine, but this is one of our guide magazines. So biggest thing, turning on and off the panel, you got to hold down on that button for 3 seconds to turn it off. But switching inputs and then going all the way to the corner cue. So we see the zones are here. I don't want to turn the page. The zones are here, the spindle. More information on the zones, the whiteboard. A lot of people are just using, we see they use the light whiteboard, which is on the Android side. You actually have a really full version if you go into the Snowflake software. And then of course the lesson activities. And here we have all, 18 was right. We have all 18 types And when you click these, it does bring you to a little guide on each of those lesson types. So if you find one you really like and you don't quite understand exactly how to play or how to build, if you want to edit the content, this guide could really quickly direct you to the right place. Here's a video on how to search for lesson activities. If you haven't joined the ClearTouch experience, here's a little QR code that brings you in there. And so those are just some resources we have for you guys. If I go back to our site, I will tell you that if I go to our webinars, we have another webinar March 5th on ClearTouch. And then if I go to in the blend, if you haven't been checking out the blend, this is our monthly magazine. There is a bunch of ClearTouch sessions. So I have our January magazine here, and we have 8 different ClearTouch sessions. So if you went to a summer session, the basics with Brandy, this is kind of introducing you to the panel, but if you're ready for level 2 and you want some cookies, we do have so Brandy did one tonight, but we have 3 other sessions that you could attend to learn more about the zones in your panel, annotating on your panel, and those, what we did today, the ready to use lesson activities, if you want to in-person training on this material. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and
Like
stop.
that information's also on our face-to-face page on our website.
Okay.
Yes.
If there are, I can post. I'll post in the chat. Or let me see the face-to-face. Now I'll just post that link right in there. In case anyone wants to sign up. And what a cute graphic! I'm gonna post it there so you guys can click it.
So we have about 3 minutes left with you, and I just want you to put in the chat how you think you could use the send to students. What activities are you thinking of that you could maybe find or create that you could send to students, or a playlist that you might want to create? And if it's something that you feel like you need help with, you could always reach out to your digital learning specialist, or you can contact myself or Emily or Karen, and we can all show you how to create a lesson or edit a lesson or even create that playlist.
And when I guess if I was thinking of creating this, I would think, okay, how many lessons am I going to put in there? And then what are kids going to do after that playlist, so that they're going to go complete maybe 3 activities, but then what happens? And so what kind of, maybe I want an exit ticket to happen, to them to, answer a question, to show what they learned. It could be a Schoology discussion board. And so you definitely have to think of how you would place this into your lesson. Is there also a station happening? I'm reading some of the answers.
I am too.
Yeah, and I haven't actually played that much with sending it to students, or I haven't seen a lot of teachers doing it. It's kind of new. It wasn't, we got so much new technology. It wasn't the first thing that we showed people, and we didn't really push it, in our trainings. But now that people have become a little bit more familiar with the panel, we're excited and hope that students might be being able to do these lessons on their device, since we are one-to-one. Even in a station, if in the pre-K class, would be great as well.
Yeah, and a lot of these activities are drag and drop. And with our devices, whether you're on Chromebooks or iPads, they're all touchscreen. So it helps with that drag and drop.
And several teachers have asked me, they said, I need activities that give students instant feedback, that I do not have enough time to grade right away, all 30 kids in my room. I need to know right away. And so what's great is that the students, if they do something that gives them the answer right away, if they got it right or wrong, they get that instant feedback. But then if they do a discussion board afterwards, they're able to elaborate a little bit more, practice with that academic vocabulary that they were using in the, using in the activities. or apply the information to a real world concept. It's just a lot more open-ended once you take it to that exit ticket.
Well, I do love the assigning an individual activity to the student. I really love just creating that playlist and putting it on the panel itself as a station so that students can work collaboratively and have that academic conversation.
Mm-hmm. And what's so nice is if you're bringing more than one kid up to the panel, they're able then, so if you have some sentence stems up there, it can, you could help facilitate that conversation between the kids. So I did see one teacher doing that she had the same activity actually on both in 2 zones. And then she had some sentences that if the kids were going to ask each other anything, they had to start with kind of one of the prompts. So it helped facilitate that conversation a little bit. And thank you all so much for coming.
Yes,
We hope
thank
to
you for
see you
coming.
at our future webinars. And we're excited to see the playlist you all create.
Yes, next month we have one on GoodNotes, which is an iPad app that we are obsessed with.
Absolutely. If you are not on GoodNotes, you better be at that webinar. It is so good. You are going to love it. And I was going to say I don't get excited about a lot. I do get excited about a lot, but I get really excited about GoodNotes.
See you tomorrow, Chelsea.
Yes, we'll see all our specialists tomorrow. Okay, so to register for that webinar, and I wasn't really threatening. You don't have to have to come, but we would love for you to be there. Not feel bad. I was like, you better be there. If you go into our website, and I will send the link in the chat to the webinars. It is actually this, my goodness, we love GoodNotes. And I'm telling you, on a professional and personal level, I love GoodNotes, and I'm not an Apple girl.
Well, this will help you use your iPad more, Joanna. GoodNotes, that's all I use my iPad for.
It really,
I use it for meetings now. I just take my iPad to meetings and everything. I don't need my computer.
It really is. It's so nice because it gives you mobility in your classroom. So it's going to let you keep teaching without being tethered to your panel or to your Belkin stage if you have one. Yeah. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for coming.